This Saturday, December 9, 2023, Army and Navy meet once again on the gridiron. Welcome to another segment of college football's greatest interstate rivalries on Saturday Sportsline Memories. Army can capture the Commander-in-Chief's trophy outright with a win on Saturday. A Navy win means they'll share the trophy with Army and Air Force. Presidents through the years have attended the game, including Woodrow Wilson, Harry Truman, John Kennedy, and Donald Trump. The game started in 1890 when Army Cadet Dennis Mikey accepted a challenge from some Navy midshipmen to play a football game. Navy won the first game and leads the series 62-54-7 going into the 2023 game. Mikey's ultimate fate was to give his life for his country in the Spanish-American War. Army's stadium is named for him. Army owned a small edge through 1927, 15, 12, and 3. The game wasn't played in 1917 and 1918 because of World War I, and there were no games in 1928 and 1929, as the two service academies could not reconcile player eligibility standards. During those years, the longest unbeaten streak belonged to Army, as they won 4 and tied 2 between 1922 and 1927. During the streak, Army was coached by 3 Hall of Famers, Charles Dudley Daly, John McEwen, and Biff Jones. Daly won 2 national championships with Army and coached World War II generals Dwight Eisenhower, Omar Bradley, Matthew Ridgway, and George Patton. McEwen was a winning coach at Army, Oregon, and Holy Cross, and Jones went 38-2 at Army and won conference championships at LSU and Nebraska. Since 1930, the game has been played yearly through economic depression, wars, and a pandemic. Through 1949, the year before the Korean War, Army held the edge again, going 12-7-1. The coaching colossus during those years was Earl Red Blake, who spent 18 years at Army, retiring after the 1958 season. Blake won 3 consecutive national championships in 1944, 1945, and 1946. He coached 3 Heisman Trophy winners, with Vince Lombardi serving as one of his assistants. Navy won the 1950s and 1960s, 11-7 with 2 ties. Eddie Erdelatz and Wayne Hardin coached Navy during those 2 decades. Erdelatz's first 2 seasons at Navy were losing ones, but the rest of the way he was 45-11-7. And he was 5-3-1 against Earl Blake's Army teams. Hardin, an assistant under Erdelatz, succeeded him starting in 1959. Hardin enjoyed 5 consecutive winning seasons and coached Heisman Trophy winners Joe Bellino and Roger Staubach. He also won 5 out of 6 games against Army. Navy won the 1970s and 1980s against Army, 12-7-1. The most successful Navy coach during that era was George Welsh, who went 7-1-1 against Army. Army won the 1990s 7-3, but that success was short-lived for the cadets. Navy went 15-1 from 2000 through 2015. Paul Johnson and Ken Niumatalolo guided the midshipmen during that time. However, the trend has turned toward Army since then, as the cadets have gone 5-2 against Navy, headed into the 2023 game. Now, for each team's greatest win in the series. In 1944, the United States was deeply involved in World War II, but the 2 service academies continued the series through the war. Army came into the game ranked number 1, Navy was number 2. The game was tight through 3 quarters, Then legendary Army running backs Glenn Davis and Doc Blanchard scored touchdowns in the fourth quarter and propelled Army to a 23-7 victory and the 1944 national title. Army won the 1945 and 1946 national titles as well, with Blanchard and Davis leading the way. In 1963, the nation was in mourning after the assassination of President Kennedy, a Navy veteran. The game was postponed by a week. Navy, led by Heisman Trophy winning quarterback Roger Staubach, ran up a 21-7 lead early in the fourth quarter, then held off a furious Army comeback to win the game 21-15 and earn a berth in the Cotton Bowl. That's a brief look at the Army-Navy rivalry. One more college football interstate rivalry segment to come. Hit the like button and subscribe.